feels like a podcast.
Let's start a podcast.
No. Dog hair.
Dog. Gone it.
That might be mine.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
We just got home last week from our international trip to Okinawa, Japan.
We were visiting my brother John, stationed at Marine Corps Air Station Futenma in Okinawa. He was there about a year ago, this week-ish.
So his mom was kind of the one that started this trip. It was us two that traveled with his mom to go visit his brother. And she really wanted to go visit him, but she was like, I'm not gonna go by myself. And I was kind of thinking, well, I would go with you because I've never left the country before this. And I know that Japan is beautiful and a really great vacation. So I was like, well, I would go with you. And then I brought it up to him and he's like, well, if you two are going, then I might as well go visit my brother too. So that's kind of why we chose Okinawa, Japan. I would love to someday go to like the mainland Japan, the main island. But that's why we chose Okinawa, and I'm very happy we did because it was very beautiful. It was definitely like a full day of travel to get there. We left from our small local airport and went to Chicago, and then from Chicago we went to Tokyo, so that was the big flight that we took. It was going there, it was 12 hours and a couple minutes.
From Chicago, then you follow northwest along North America, you kind of go towards Bering Strait, then you just kind of zoom just south of southeast of Russia for reasons, and then landed in Tokyo.
Yeah, so that was crazy. I've never been on a plane for that long, and that was definitely an experience. But they give you meals and you get to watch movies, so we watched like movies the whole time. I really didn't sleep much on the way there just because I was so excited to get there, and I was kind of excited to be on like my first long flight. But you got a little bit of sleep, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a little snoozes.
Yeah.
Put on some boring flicks.
But overall, it was a smooth flight, no issues. Not even like a lot of turbulence or anything like that.
Fairly smooth flight. 787 Dreamliner.
But then we flew into Tokyo, and once we got to Tokyo, we had to go through customs and all of that since we got into Japan. So luckily we had a longer layover there. But then from Tokyo, we took a flight. It was like 2.5-ish hours to Okinawa, and that it was like nighttime. It was all dark. So that plane, I definitely got a little bit of sleep on.
A little nappy on.
Yeah, but all very smooth flights. I feel like we couldn't have really asked for a more smooth travel day. We had good weather and all of that.
Slept in on a rainy day. We went about a half hour north of our Airbnb, drove up to the Churaumi Aquarium. And they have a lot of cool stuff there. They show all their ocean fishes and coral reefs and stuff, and all sorts of spooky deep sea jellyfish and invertebrate fishies. You walk through, see all the fish, and at the end of it is the big aquarium that has all the manta rays, stingrays, and a big old whale shark.
Yeah, that was super cool to see a whale shark. I don't think I've ever seen anything that big in an aquarium. She was beautiful. She was really big and she just kind of swam around.
It was like a 360-degree viewing room areas and up and down seating, and at the end of it you sit below the tank where they kind of have a spot where they shape it so that you can sit underneath the tank and look up at the fishies and the shark and the rays.
They even have like a little cafe, which I thought was really cool. They have like a little place that we didn't go to it, but we saw people. You can like sit in a table like right next to the whole wall is basically just the tank with the whale shark and the manta rays and everything. So I thought that was really pretty.
That took a few hours. It was a lot to see there. Surprisingly, I didn't know it would be that big of an aquarium, but it was really cool. And it was about afternoon time when we ended, so we kind of made our way back towards where John works at Camp Foster, another American military base, Marine Corps base. There we just got some basic groceries for the week and got dinner at the Ocean Breeze Lounge. It's basically just like a regular American restaurant, but it had some like Japanese style foods but it also had all the regular American food and I think some random Mexican dishes.
And this whole first day it was like raining pretty much the whole day. So originally in our itinerary, we were gonna have like a beach day to kick off the trip, but obviously the weather was not cooperating. So I'm happy that we still were able to do some of our indoor stuff. Like getting groceries was just necessary for our Airbnb, but then the aquarium was mostly indoor, so it was nice that we kind of took our rain day and went and saw the aquarium while we didn't have like the nice weather to go to the beach. Day 2, it was like kind of overcast and cloudy, which didn't really matter too much because this was our day that we went snorkeling. So we booked a snorkeling tour a couple of months before our trip, and we actually almost didn't get to go on it because we got there and we're like, oh, we're here for our reservation. I had like a reservation ID number, and apparently the reservation was just on hold. It wasn't actually confirmed. And they told me that they sent me an email a couple of days before the tour was supposed to be that we would like confirm it and then pay for it then, but I never got any email. I checked my spam, I checked everything. So I was almost like heartbroken because I was really looking forward to snorkeling, but luckily they were able to fit us in. So we took a little boat out and we snorkeled off the coast of the Kerama Islands National Park.
Little boat's a way to say it. It was not little, it was a whole yacht. It was a 2-story, 80-foot long boat. The whole bottom area had like all the equipment and junk and seating for like 20 people. All their gear and stuff, all their scuba suits, their flippers, wetsuits stored, and then up on the top deck was where the captain of the ship, who was like probably 19-year-old dude, was in charge, and extra seating and viewing and stuff. It was a big old boat. It was not a little boat by any means.
Yeah, it was. The waves were very choppy, so a lot of people were getting seasick. And it was absolutely beautiful. It was definitely a little bit scary jumping in. I guess when I booked the tour, I thought it was going to be more shallow than it was. We were out, what would you say, like 50 feet?
It was probably, 30 to 50 feet deep to the ocean floor. So you dive in, or you jump in, you kind of just step off the little step ladder that they have on the back of the boat. And then you just like in the ocean, and then you look down and it's just like nothing. You're like 30 feet above the sea floor, and
it was freaky at first.
It spooks you at first and you gotta get used to it, and then the ocean water is like chilly, cold, so that like shocks you. But the wetsuit's it. I've never worn a wetsuit. For anybody that doesn't know, a wetsuit keeps you very buoyant and it keeps you insulated pretty well too.
Yeah, it was actually not, like once you got used to it, it was amazing. At first it was definitely a shock because you're out so deep and it's wavy and it's cold, but then once you look down and see all of the coral, it kind of makes it all worth it. I think I even like tapped you and I was like, look down, because I was just so in shock at first that I forgot to actually just like look down and take in all the coral. It was absolutely beautiful. We saw lots of little like schools of fish, but then we saw like sea snakes, and I have pictures of all the fish that we saw because they were all so pretty, and I was trying to touch them because they would come up really close to you. But what was cool was that there were like low areas of coral, but then there was like little mountains of coral that would come up. So there was moments that you were like right over it, so you could see it a little bit better. But then there were moments that it was very deep. So it was a pretty wide variety of shallow viewing and deep viewing. But then on that last dive, I went. The rest of our group stayed back, but I'm so happy I went because I saw a reef shark and I saw a sea turtle. The sea turtle was sleeping, but it was very cool to see it. I've never seen a sea turtle in the wild. But then we came back in and we kind of took a little bit of a breather. I know for us being adjusted to America time, around like 2-3 p.m. for me at least is when I started to feel so tired. Like I just wanted to take a nap. But we were able to kind of relax at the Airbnb for a little bit, and then we went out to the Kokosai Dori Street, and that was really cool. If anybody visits Okinawa, I recommend just even walking up and down it. There's a lot of little shops. That's where we were able to get some souvenirs and we were able to get some dinner there at this very small little like bar restaurant, but it was really cool. It had really good food. I was able to try some of the Okinawan taco rice, and it really is just like rice with meat and lettuce and all of that kind of stuff, but it's a staple in Okinawa. And however they seasoned their meat, I'm not sure, but it was really, really good. And then we were able to walk around, and there was a little store that you could try some like local foods. We were able to try sea grapes, which it's really not a grape at all. It's more like
the seaweed.
It's more like seaweed, but it was really good. They look like little mini grapes, and I actually thought it was pretty good. And we also were able to try some different things that I don't really even know what it all was, but it was really, really good.
Right.
And then we were able to try the Blue Seal ice cream, which it's like an Okinawan ice cream brand, and they're known for their Okinawan salt cookie, which is the kind that we got, and it was really good.
Slept in again. Every day we kind of just eased into the day. It was vacation after all. Got up breakfast, and then we drove over to the Shuri Castle. Okinawa's old capital.
From my understanding, it's like a long time ago it was like Okinawa's capital building, and they're kind of where they did like their government.
Yeah, right. Okay. So yeah, it was their castle. That was like where their leaders were at, and it was really cool. You can see out in every direction. It was basically the top of the island, viewing areas of everything. You can see the whole everywhere and pretty much see all the airports and all the planes flying into them and everything, and all the beaches. Really nice day. It was a warm day. It was clear skies, but had a really good breeze up at the top of the mountain. Yeah,
there was a fire in 2019. So the like main building of the Shuri Castle did unfortunately burn down, but they are gonna reconstruct it to be like an exact replica of it, from my understanding. So they have little like viewing windows of how it's kind of coming along. I don't think it's gonna be done for a couple more years yet, but to still be there and to see like the whole walkway up to the main building is still the original, and it's very cool to see their like architecture and everything, the way that they built their stairs, and there's a lot of beautiful things to look at. There was a sundial, which was really cool to see, because I've never seen one like just a real one that was actually in use. Yeah. And the whole time you're walking up there, you have a really good view of Naha. Like he said, Naha is like one of the biggest cities on Okinawa. So it was really pretty to have a view of that and of the ocean.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to explore. Then we drove to lunch. What the place was called?
It was called Joyful.
Joyful?
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of just like a regular grocery store, but then off to the side of the building is an actual, just a restaurant by the place, and you order all your food on the iPad and whatever. It had all the regular Japanese stuff, so you got another, I think I got like a Japanese style Salisbury steak, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was like probably my favorite food that I had on this trip. I had a rice and tuna bowl, and then I also got some more soba because I had to, and it has like the miso broth, and it was really good. This little like robot came out playing music, and it just spun and gave us all of our food.
Yep.
And I thought that was cool. I've never been to a place where your food was served like that.
Yep. Okay, yeah. So then after lunch we just went home, chilled out, took a load off, hung out at the Airbnb for a little bit, and we made plans for dinner.
That was kind of a daily thing for us, is that we would come back after doing something and just like chill, because when you're walking around so much, you get tired, but also for us, it was like our nighttime at that point. So I think we were all still on our like internal clock of...
We basically would come home after lunch or whatever and take a nap or something for the evening, and then get up and go to dinner. Took naps, gathered up everybody again, and hit the road back up to the northeastern side of the island-ish. So we went towards Camp Courtney on Okinawa, and it's where John's original Marine recruiter, Jake Hansen, shout out, met him up for dinner.
It was very traditional.
It was very traditional Japanese. It was not really a touristy area. You walk in and take your shoes off before you like climb up over the bench seating, and then you get to your table and you sit down into the table seating area. It's hard to explain.
It looks like you're sitting on the floor. You're really not, because your whole table's like up on a platform, so you're technically sitting. But to get up, you have to like crawl out, and then you're up on like a little stage, and then you went down. Right. And that food was really good. We were able to try a variety of things. I got a tuna sushi roll. I'm a big sushi person, so I wanted to try like a tuna roll. I
got a nice, basically a variety pack meat fillet.
Yeah, yours was called kushiyaki.
Kushiyaki.
It was like a kebab of pork.
It was, It was just a bunch of kebabs. There was steak, pork, chicken. We
were able to get some kimchi too on top of tofu. And kimchi is like their cabbage. It's kind of like spicy, but I really, really like it. I want to find somewhere to get some here because I really liked it. And the drink.
It was pretty good. And I can't remember what they were called.
It's the chuhai.
Chuhai.
I think, if we're pronouncing anything wrong, sorry.
It's probably chuhi.
Probably.
Chuhai. It looks like chuhai, so we're gonna Americanize it.
It tasted like juice, but then you would have one and you'd realize, okay, this is pretty strong actually.
Yeah.
We got the peach and the plum, and we kind of shared each other's.
Peach, plum.
It was really, really good.
Yeah.
It would be dangerous if I had them here. Day 4, we woke up and took a walk along the seawall, which was right by our Airbnb. It was in a really great location, I would say, our Airbnb. It was nice that we were close to a lot of things, but it was a very private, kind of quiet neighborhood. And we took a morning walk and saw it looked like a little bit of a bay, kind of where we were.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of stray cats. That was one of my favorite parts, was seeing all the stray cats. They were so cute. So we were going to take a ferry this day to go to the Tokushiki Island, which is part of the Kerama Islands. And pretty much last minute we were like, okay, we're already tired from just the trip and doing so much. And we kind of decided last minute to take a recommendation from the recruiter that we had dinner with the night before.
Jacob.
From him. He's been there a couple years now, and he's really big into snorkeling and all of that. So he recommended this kind of definitely off the beaten path beach. It's called the Senaha Beach, and it was stunning. I'm so happy we kind of switched our plans to go here instead of taking the ferry because it was very private. It almost felt like you weren't supposed to be there, but it is very much a public beach. But you take this little path down and it opens up to the most beautiful turquoise waters, and there's all these caves that you can explore. So we had a lot of fun exploring all of that, and it was, like I said, very private. There was only a couple other people that we encountered the whole time we were there for a couple hours that we were there. And it was good. We kind of swam a little bit at first, but the tide was pulling back, which did have its benefits because we went out and kind of explored all the coral that it exposed when it pulled the tide back. And there was a lot of wildlife. We saw some urchins, sea cucumbers, starfish, a lot of cute little fish that I took videos of. Yeah, it was so cool. I think this beach gave us a wide variety of just relaxing on the beach, but also exploring the caves, a little bit of swimming, and then seeing all the wildlife. I really wish I would have wore some shoes though, because once the tide pulled back, you just have so much fun exploring that you kind of go out and see everything. But I wasn't wearing shoes, so I was definitely stepping on some sharp coral. So
yep. It's right off the sandy beach is all just coral reefs and stuff for you to walk on, and it's really nice, but it's really sharp, and if you don't have some kind of footwear on, you're gonna scrape the crap out of your feet.
So then this night we went out to a place called Yakiniku, and his brother had been there a couple times, so he really wanted to take us. But it was probably one of the coolest restaurants I've ever been to. It was basically an all-you-can-eat restaurant. You had 80 minutes that you paid, and it came out to be about $22-23 US per person, which is actually really good for 80 minutes of all you can eat.
80 minutes all you can eat.
And it really was all you can eat. You ordered what you wanted on a little iPad, they would bring out the ingredients to you, and then you had a grill in the middle of your table that you would grill everything up. So you kind of had to prepare it yourself, which is nice because then you can make it kind of how you want to make it. But you could also order like rice and salads and everything. Like not everything had to be grilled.
You can pretty much get anything off of the menu, but so we just kept on ordering all sorts of different meats and seafoods and.
We tried squid, which.
I took a bite of it because I knew it would be weird.
It was good, but I just am not used to eating like tentacles. It was strange, but I do think the flavor was pretty good. So that was our day 4.
That was pretty awesome.
It was great.
Great day.
So then that takes us to day 5. This was our last full day there.
So we drove a little bit to the south to the Fukushuen Gardens. It's obviously gardens and stuff, but it was about an hour walk through to like look and see everything. So you walk in and there's all sorts of really nice plants, life you can see, and birds hanging around. And then they have these big koi ponds that they have, and they got some big old koi fish in them, and carp I think are on the other side.
The waterfall was really pretty too.
Yeah.
It was very relaxing. I can picture somebody going there to just like read or write or just relax. There was a lot of little areas to like sit. I think a lot of people will go there for like prayer purposes too, but it was beautiful.
Yep. Yeah, the waterfalls, and then you can climb up next to it, and you go like up in the big castle and kind of look down at the whole place and see the entire garden from a nice viewing point. There's a couple of them. It was just cool to look down and see everything and all the fish and plant life and everything that they got. So then we had another beach afternoon, big white sandy beach with crystal clear water yet again. It's all nice water there, and just hung out, laid out our towels, brought our cooler. I think we made sandwiches or something for that just to hang out and relax on the beach with the fam. Chilled out, buried Brooke.
Yeah, I got buried in sand.
You got buried alive.
It was fun. It was like, I don't know, it felt very like it felt like a nostalgic beach day. It was very nice.
And went out again for dinner at the American Village.
There's a lot of shops at the American Village too. Unfortunately, they were like closing when we were all kind of there, but I think had we done this again, we would have went a little bit earlier so we could have shopped around a little bit, because there was a lot of like lights and shops, and it almost felt like the Kokosai Dori Street, just more Americanized, obviously.
Yeah, right. We were hoping to see fireworks that night, but I think the rain was coming in, so it got delayed a day, I think. So we didn't get to see the fireworks, but we have 4th of July here.
Yeah.
So we were alright with it.
Yeah, we were okay with it. We had a smooth flight from Okinawa to Tokyo. The only issue was it was very hot on that flight, yes. He was like dying.
Yeah, they had the heat like blasting on the whole flight, and it was probably a good 75 degrees in the airplane, and so I was pretty much fanning myself the entire time, or Brooke would take turns and she fanned me for a good while. And
anything for you.
Then they finally turned it down like 1 or 2 degrees, like in the last like half hour of the flight, or 10 minutes or whatever. And by the time we landed, it started getting a little more comfortable. But
our flight was delayed out of Okinawa, out of the Naha airport. It was delayed like, I think it ended up being delayed like 20-30 minutes.
Yeah, it was just a little bit.
So we finally did leave. Unfortunately, we didn't have the longest layover in Tokyo, and it would be fine if Tokyo wasn't like one of the biggest airports ever. So we had to like land, get shuttled to our terminal, because we landed in a different terminal than we took off out of. So when we finally got to our gate in Tokyo to go to Chicago, we had 3 minutes left, and that was of course until boarding started, so we really had a little bit more time, but not as much time as I typically like to have, especially at a major airport like Tokyo. But I will say landing in Tokyo was really cool, because we were able to see Mount Fuji, and when we came in the first time on our way to Okinawa, we didn't get to see Mount Fuji. It was on the other side of the plane from us.
It was a very cloudy, overcast day.
It was, but coming in from Okinawa to Tokyo, it was a nice bright sunny day, so we were able to see Mount Fuji, which was really cool. I have a video of it. From there, we had pretty much smooth flights all the way home. We had to go, of course, through customs when we got back to Chicago, but that was all pretty smooth. And that was our trip. And it was...
We drove back to Dubuque.
And now here we are. And
here
the
we
trip
are.
was absolutely amazing. I don't know what I was expecting. I just wasn't expecting it to be so beautiful and tropical there, I think. Because when I think Japan, I don't really think tropical. I think more of like city and history. But it was absolutely a tropical island.
Absolutely a tropical beach vacation.
Yeah, it was amazing. What was your favorite part of the trip?
The Senaha Beach was my favorite day and time because it was just a nice cozy little beach, private, like more private. It's obviously a public beach, so anybody could get there, but there was like nobody there. And
it seems like only like locals really know about
Yeah.
it. I think if you Google beach, it doesn't really come up because we did that so many times.
Right.
And it didn't come up at all. So I think it's more of a like little local hidden gem.
It was a little bit of a walk to get there, but it just made it so much better because you're kind of down there on the beach and you got like caves pretty much surrounding you and then the ocean in front of you. So it was very like kind of cozy and private-ish, but it's still just like a nice little beach day. What was your favorite
My
part?
favorite part, I want you to guess my favorite part. I want to see if you know what my favorite part was.
The snorkeling.
Yes, it was by far my favorite part. I got to be a real life mermaid for a day. It was just so beautiful. I've never done anything like that in my life. Like everything else we did on this trip, I've done, obviously not in Okinawa, but I've done like, you know, beach days and seen cool things and history and everything. But this snorkeling experience, I will never, ever forget. It was amazing. And I love to swim. I love being out in the water. It's very freeing. I know a lot of people are afraid of like big open ocean, and like it was scary. There were parts of it that were very scary, but it's also a very freeing feeling to just be out there. And so snorkeling by far, and I think I could tell like while I was doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a highlight of my life for one, but this trip for sure. So snorkeling was my favorite
It
part.
was very cool.
It was cool.
Is this like ASMR?
Probably.
We hope